Hey everybody! This week I wanted to talk about an issue that keeps coming up on political social media, and that is Fox News.
And we have seen so many problems with the election that we need to get to the bottom of it. And the second thing the American people are saying is, who can they trust?
Fox News sucks! Fox News sucks! Fox News sucks! Fox News sucks!
Fox is fake fucking news. They came at the end of the rally when everyone was gone. I got videos and proof that I'm gonna show you. Trump 2020, motherfucker. Fuck out of here. Tune into Newsmax. Fuck Fox News.
I was not editorializing. I was pointing out to our producers that we, in addition to other outlets, had already called the presidential race. In a separate instance, a screen grab of this program was taken, edited and distributed to fit a completely false narrative. It was not real. I anchor 3 hours of straight news daily. I report facts and I report them fairly. We have many different voices and opinions during segments of our show, and all are welcome.
Fox News has for a long time been known as a reliably right-wing version of CNN and MSNBC. They're a large cable TV network that was #1 watched by pro-Trump Americans and often #1 in the country for the past 4 years under Trump. Everybody knew Fox brought in a lot of money because they spoke to the silent majority of Americans who are constantly being alienated by corporate media in New York and Washington, D.C. But now Fox News is doing a lot of things to betray their right-wing base, and it's got their audience confused, even angry.
A colorful news conference from Rudy Giuliani, but it was light on facts. So much of what he said was simply not true or has already been thrown out in court.
Illegal vote.
Whoa. I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up.
The president does seem, though, in a way, Chris, to be winning even as he is losing in the current vote count, because for his diehard fans, he is trying to make the case that he didn't really lose the election, that it was taken from him. Is that an argument that he can credibly make?
He opened by making this really bold and baseless claim that a lot of this alleged nationwide voter fraud that he's referring to all came from one centralized place. He called it a nationwide conspiracy, and yet he failed to provide any hard evidence to back up that one specific claim, especially when you're dealing with a claim that really cuts to the core of our democratic process.
But that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating. If she does bring proof of that, of course, we'll take you back. So far, she has started saying right at the outset, welcoming fraud, welcoming illegal voting. Not so fast. We'll have more after this.
There are endless clips like these, and it's causing Fox's ratings to go from #1 to done. People are angry that Fox News used them all these years to get the highest ratings and build their empire, creating the illusion that they're some kind of hero for the right, and then now that they feel like Trump and his supporters are total fools for Fox, they can take advantage of his willingness to go on their network and then berate him unfairly to show off to their liberal media friends. After all, that's how it goes, right? It's a very common phenomenon in the media world. Aspiring journalists often start off working for these right-wing blogs that are willing to hire them. They tend to be more edgy and unfiltered in these places because that's what gets the clicks. And then when they become big enough and they have the money they need, they also have the skills and experience, and all they want next is a prestigious left-wing job that will bring them the social acceptance that they always longed for. Just take a look at Caitlin Collins, who used to work at the Daily Caller, Oliver Darcy, who used to work at the Blaze. The list goes on. I have so many personal friends, actually, who used to work alongside these people that I don't want to dox in this video, but just know that there's a lot of them. All these people started off working in conservative outlets, and once they became skilled enough, they left those outlets behind to work at more prominent left-wing outlets. And I don't blame them. As someone who was constantly being harassed for working at Fox News and not feeling like it was worth it at all, I would have been more than happy to denounce their asses and go work for a company like MSNBC News. In fact, I have twice been emailed by MSNBC recruiters who are looking for an ex-Fox News producer to help them compete for Fox-like ratings. I would have totally taken the job if they offered it to me. Our office was in the same building as MSNBC and just a couple blocks from CNN. And when I started working for Fox, I was almost surprised at how common it was for Fox News employees to be recruited by these other left-wing outlets. In fact, many of the people who came to work at Fox did so with the intention of trying to get a job at MSNBC, where they might get paid better and get respected better by the public. And not only respected better by the public, respected better by the people you work with. Even your bosses and colleagues inside Fox didn't have any respect for conservative, uneducated types who were blunt and said their thoughts aloud. We had a blacklist of guests that we weren't allowed to bring on our shows. People in the public don't know this. They were all right-wingers, ranging from Roger Stone to Cassandra Fairbanks to Mike Cernovich. Now, I'm not saying that you have to agree with any of these people's opinions, but at Fox, it wasn't about opinions. It was about clear disrespect for anybody who wasn't of their class. The establishment, the latte liberal educated class. I remember trying to book these blacklisted guys on our shows and then trying to book some lefty nobody that has zero viewership clout but has a great set of DC Who's Who references. It's much easier to get those guys a spot on Fox than the blacklisted one. In fact, Fox will beg for the lefties, but good luck getting those guys to lower their noses and allow themselves to be seen on a right-wing network. Ew.
We like some of the guys on Fox, but they sold us out, didn't they?
Anybody who was paying attention from the beginning knew that Fox News leadership was never particularly right-wing. The signs were all there. Rupert Murdoch made it clear to the public that he's not politically right-wing in any way. He tries to distance himself constantly from this right-wing base. In fact, he publicly signed on to Borat 2 back in 2007 to show that he's not particularly attached to right-wing politics one way or another. Look, I enjoyed Borat just as much as the next guy, but let's be real, that movie series was all about ridiculing the uneducated right-wing Americans. And of course, they released it a month before the election with tons of footage berating Donald Trump and his base. So what else are you supposed to expect? Not to mention the whole point of 21st Century Fox merging with Disney, becoming a separately traded company from Fox News, and then cutting the word for Fox from their name was obviously an attempt to distance themselves from their right-wing audience and blend in more with Hollywood liberals and their Chinese allies. Anybody paying close attention to the news surrounding the company's acquisitions knew that Fox News itself was eventually going to follow the ways of outlets like CNN. You might not have believed it as a Fox News viewer who's watching Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and Sean Hannity berating leftists in the media all day, but as someone who has been on the inside, I saw it clear as day, and so did my colleagues. Sure, Fox News is bringing in a ton of money as a multinational corporate media outlet speaking to an untapped American market. But think about the people who are at the top. They live in very lefty hubs like New York, Washington, D.C., and Hollywood. I have lived in all three of those places, and I can tell you that in those places, this urge for social acceptance by establishment lefties is so strong, far stronger than ratings. There you have it. Anybody who has been paying attention to Fox News from the inside already knows that Fox is a big DC-based media outlet just like the rest of them. Just because they have figured out a way to profit from what a lot of the producers there perceive as your ignorance and your idiocy. It doesn't make them your ally. Now, don't get me wrong. I love capitalism. And I love people protecting themselves. And I love businesses that care about serving their consumers regardless of what their political beliefs are. But cable media is already a dying industry that has become totally hijacked by a bunch of political DC hacks that are arrogant, condescending, behind doors, especially towards their viewers, thinking that they still have the power that they used to. And they don't. And I have no grievances about watching their little business fall to shits. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you all in my live streams and in the video next week.